Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
IVM Likes is an IVM production, and if you enjoy the show, check out our brand new show, The Vishal Gondal Show. Every fortnight, Vishal has in-depth conversations with super achievers from various fields. This week, you can listen to him talk to Ronnie Screwvala, and it's a fascinating conversation. You do not want to miss this. Hello, welcome to the 30th episode of IVM Likes. And we made it 30 weeks. How did we do this? How much the stuff we have watched and listened to get here is it's pretty big, guys.
No, but were you only watching it so you could record this episode, or like just generally because you have a love?
Because I have so many things I want to talk about, and now I have a mic to do that.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yes.
So I'm in the studio with lots of people today.
Yeah.
We have a full house in the studio. We have Naveen and Josh and Alika and Abbas. Everybody say hi at one time so then people can recognize your voices.
1, 2, 3.
Hi.
That's great.
Nice. we actually harmonized that.
Yeah.
That worked out brilliantly. So in this episode, we're going to do a little bit of a flashback. We're going to talk about recommendations we actually took from the show from other people and how that went. So if you have done that, if you've taken any of our recommendations, please give us that ego boost and tweet to us and like message us on Facebook and find us and stuff like that.
Did we change your lives?
Yeah, come
Let
on.
us
In
know.
some way we must have. Even if you took our recommendation and it was shit, let us know. I think that would be good too.
Yes.
Yeah, if you judge us as people and how we are as humans.
Yeah,
in
our
general.
choices and what we've done in life to bring us here. I mean, come on.
Exactly. Question
too
us
deep.
and we'll question ourselves.
Alright, so we're going to go around the room and discuss recommendations we've taken and how that went. And of course, at the end of this episode, we'll also have some more recommendations, so don't worry about that.
That's what we do.
Yeah, we're full of recommendations. It's getting exhausting, guys. Alright, who wants to start? Abbas, let's start with Abbas. Alphabetically.
All right, so yeah, bunch of recommendations which were thrown at us, and the one recommendation that stands out is in episode 12, you, Sharanya, had recommended the podcast S-Town. And it sounded really exciting when you mentioned it. The good thing about it was that all the episodes were available at once. So I was like, I don't have to wait a whole week.
Binge podcast.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, when you listen to the first episode, you think it's a podcast about something, and then it turns out to be something else. It's by the makers of Serial, so in the first episode, you kind of think it's gonna go into that
True crime
murder,
space,
true
yeah.
crime, murder mystery, solving a murder, who did it kind of space. And by the end of the second episode, it flips completely over and it becomes about a specific person. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it becomes like an exploration of life in that city
Yes,
and in
yeah.
that town, and through the eyes of this particular person.
Exactly, yes.
Which is great.
I like how the show really didn't follow a specific format. It took its time. It was this one journalist's extensive research and just how intimately he went into the people's lives living in this town. And I think around episode 4 or 5, it almost felt like I was one of those gossipy aunties in in the small town where the gossip is going around. And did you know about this? Did you know about that? So to create that kind of a feeling in someone who's miles away from where this is happening was very interesting to hear. You form certain images about the characters which have been portrayed.
It's why the show did all the episodes together, because if you just heard the first episode, you would have googled that person and known what's happening.
Yeah. So S-Town, definitely. It's also one of those, I mean, it makes you ponder over how people live their lives and exactly how lives pan out in certain people, depending on where they live, how they live, what circumstances they live. So they're very memorable characters. The show is done in a very... And it's one of those shows where after listening to it, you want to read a lot about it, know about what happened.
Yeah.
So,
I listened to all the podcasts where Brian Reed came on and talked about creating the show, because it's one of those... How did you get to this story? Like, how did you follow this around? Because there are some moments which I think is a very storytelling thing they do, is that in some episodes there are these things that are genuinely mind-blowing.
Right.
Like that Clocks episode.
Right.
Like that Mercury episode. Just the small facts that build up.
Yeah.
That was really fantastic.
Really good. So S-Town, definitely, I was glad I checked it out. The other recommendation on episode 25, Naveen recommended Glow, which I binge watched last weekend.
And that's the only way to watch it.
Yeah.
Though I liked the show, I did think it was amazing. Like See, this is why I didn't tell you I watched it. I like the casting is pitch perfect. I like the fact that it has the feeling of like you get a certain group of characters together. You want to see what pans out in their life. But I thought at certain places it was a little cliche. It was a little, you could see where the thing is going. But yeah, I mean, the music was great. I was very surprised that I genuinely liked Mark Maron, the way he portrayed a character.
Yeah.
I thought he's basically going to play himself, but it was very suited to the character he played. I liked the look of all the, hair and makeup, costumes, everything is pitch perfect.
And that is like very nicely done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Alison Brie wears minimal makeup
Yeah, and
throughout.
that hair is so that time. And
Yeah. So I'm excited for the second season because that's when we'll actually see the first season ends with the ladies and the promotion taking off.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see how they're going to make the second
When you
season
recommended
happen.
Glow, I had already watched the show, but I watched that documentary that you recommended. And that was so different. My God, it was
was
such
very
an
hard
emotional
hitting.
trip.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
God,
I
I was
cried.
just like, because Glow makes it's still a funny kind of comedy show, even though it's not really comedy.
Correct.
But this documentary was.
But I think the show will get there also because as documenting these women's life, when you see the documentary, you realize the similarities between the characters that
Yeah,
they've chosen,
my God.
and because they don't have the rights to exactly portray them as they
Yeah,
are.
that's true.
But if you see like the Machu Picchu character
Yeah.
is Mount Fiji,
Yeah.
and she has her own trauma in the show. Like she's coming from a house of wrestlers and she has the burden to bear, and she wants to do it.
Yeah.
So maybe she'll be the character later. She had
But all of that real trauma in the documentary is just like it's
Yeah,
hardcore.
it's really pretty hardcore.
So I was just making an observation. Betty Gilpin, who plays the Debbie Egan character,
Yeah.
like the Miss America one,
Yeah.
and she, like, I saw her in Glow and in American Gods, and both shows she's the woman who's been cheated on. Like,
Okay.
her husbands in both shows go and someone else. I'm like, this is a pattern. Maybe this is a character.
There are some people like that, right? Have you noticed this? There's this girl, if you watch Parks and Rec, who played Aziz Ansari's girlfriend.
I don't remember this.
Okay, then it doesn't matter.
Many girlfriends he had throughout the
Basically,
show.
no, in the show he only has that one girl he likes, Wendy.
Oh, yeah,
And then
yeah.
she played Dave Patel's girlfriend in Newsroom.
Oh.
She basically played all
She's
the
brown
Indian
guy-
girls.
brown
Yeah,
guy's
brown guy's
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
Let's send it to her. She specializes in it.
We should make an episode on this now. Just like,
Yeah, so Glow I really enjoyed. I thought the finale was a little disappointing, but overall enjoyed the show. And the one thing that was recommended on episode 5, which was Tickled, the documentary, I just somehow couldn't get through the entire movie. I got bored in the first half hour.
I think Josh watched it.
Yeah, I actually liked the documentary because from what you remember, it starts off with a simple enough premise, but just the whole absurdity of it.
Yeah,
like,
it is such a weird
like
story.
you're watching it and you just can't believe there's this whole underground tickling ring. And it's just it's so funny initially,
It's
but then
absurd in concept, which is why it makes it like even worse when you get to the root of it. It's just like wow.
and the guy who's making it is from New Zealand, so it just feels like the whole thing's gonna be jokes, and then suddenly it becomes this weird sort of
How does
very
it matter if
seedy.
he's from New Zealand? Do New Zealand people make funny movies?
I
only?
feel like they're just funny in general.
I recommended a film from New Zealand called Deathgasm. Did anybody watch it?
Hey,
No.
I recommend a movie of New Zealand called What We Do in the
yeah.
Shadows.
A lot of New Zealand representation.
Yeah.
So you guys do a good job of selling that documentary, but I just didn't get into it. I'll try and rewatch it sometime.
It's okay, you don't
Did you
force it.
did you get to the person who's like the brains behind it? The guy.
No.
He hasn't gotten all the
Yeah,
way.
you need
I
to.
think it was one of those nights where
You have to get into the underbelly of the tickling industry.
like the person who is the person who's sending the scary emails, man.
you
That
guys ever
person.
have that? Like, it was one of those nights where I was watching something on Netflix and then other things at Netflix scream at you that watch me,
Oh,
watch me,
correct,
watch
correct.
me. So I probably watched something else. But
for
yeah,
that, you have to do
definitely-
the full screen of the.
Thanks, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the things that stand out from the
Nice,
recommendations I checked out. So yeah.
Let's go to Alika. Come on, Alika.
Oh man, okay, so I picked up Riverdale, which Sharanya recommended.
Woo! Represent!
Okay, the only reason I picked this up because I am a big fan of the Archie comics.
No need to
And
get defensive, dude. It's a good show.
Yeah.
you know what?
It's not a fall
Watching
from
a
grace,
show-
Alika.
Yeah, I know you're embarrassed because it's a teeny bopper show, but it's a good show, man.
No, hang on. I love cartoons. I love shows for kids, but
But
It's
I
not a
don't
show
know
for
why.
kids, though.
Exactly.
It is a teen show.
That
It
is very true. Okay, so I'm a big fan of the Archie comics, right? So that's why I picked up the show and I was like, okay, I expect it to be kind of like the Archie comics, but not exactly. The cinematography is amazing in the show. I really liked it. I like the characters.
Did not notice cinematography at all in this show.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a popcorn show. It's a
Yeah.
sort of
Right.
show
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
just watch with like a whole lot of popcorn and not really pay attention.
It's
but
your
also kind of-
9021 O's types.
Kind
It's
of,
one of
yeah,
those.
yeah. And I'm not really used to watching those sort of shows. So it was a pretty novel experience.
And that's good. How you took that recommendation?
Yes, I will admit I binge watched the whole thing in one day.
Ooh.
But
But
to
then
what effect?
what made you stick with this if you're not someone who watches those kind of shows?
It was me.
Sharanya was holding a knife to my throat the entire time.
That's the thing you can do.
There's no such thing. Just admit that you really wanted to watch it, dude.
No,
You cared about the show.
It was extremely engrossing.
Yeah, because the murder mystery is really, really
Yeah.
well made and is well built.
Yeah, it was really well done. And I like the characters. I like that they fleshed out, all the characters beyond their stereotypes, which they are portrayed as in the
In the
comics.
comics.
I like
Yes.
Jughead's hat. The
beanie.
beanie wears.
His
Pretty
beanie
cool.
is so cute. I need one. But yeah, and I like that they gave, all the characters their parents also.
Yes.
They got fleshed out.
I think that was
really
really
well.
good, yeah.
Okay.
So I like the characterization a lot in that. And the murder mystery was super compelling.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I really need to know what happens next. Click.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
It's like Twin Peaks.
But you
meets-
binge it, right? I
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
it week on week. So it was a lot more like speculation. I followed the subreddits and all. I was like, I need to know this.
Oh man, yeah.
And I was really into it. Even though it seems like as basic as any other teen show, it's quite interesting. It's made well. It's
I
fun.
liked how they made the characters sort of deal with nostalgia in the show, because I don't know if you ever pick up on when you read Archie comics, it's a very nostalgic
Yeah,
comic.
the all-American teenagers,
Yeah.
they eat
Yeah,
the
high school.
hamburgers and have milkshakes.
Yeah, but even back then,
This
even
one is
like in
on
the-
drugs and stuff though. Like,
Yeah.
here's some drugs, here's some, here's some murders that happened,
Yeah.
here's a little bit of sex happening. It's like, wow, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. And they diversified their whole cast quite a bit, which is nice.
I think the thing that puts people off Riverdale, if you started in the beginning, you see, because you binge watched it, right? I think you had more, you were already invested and you knew it.
Yeah.
But if you started watching it week on week, they start with on a really wrong foot with Miss Grundy and Archie's affair.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And as soon as the feedback came in and they took it off,
Right.
the show got infinitely better.
Agreed.
Because in the beginning it was like, oh, why is Miss Grundy
Yeah.
sleeping with Archie? That's weird.
Agreed,
Too
500%.
much.
Yeah. But once they took it out, it just made the show so much better.
Yeah, no, that subplot was like, oh, I have to suffer this. Okay,
Yeah.
can we fast forward it?
Yeah.
But yeah, besides, I was pretty
Awesome.
solid show. I am very impressed.
Yeah,
by
season
it.
2 this October.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Alika.
This time it will be a gun to your head.
No, this time she's in, guys. I don't have to do anything.
No, I will probably watch it. It was a good show. Definitely.
Do you ship anybody? Do you have do you have loyalties on the show?
I'm really loyal to Jughead, but I don't
Oh,
ship.
everybody is loyal to Jughead, dude.
Okay, but I don't ship people. It's weird.
Fair enough. I mean, they're fictional characters, so it's okay. I just mean don't do it in real life. 'Cause that's weird.
Slave traders ship people. That's a bad thing. It's true.
Alright, let's take a quick break right now and then we'll come back and continue this conversation.
What's the best new restaurant in town?
Which bar sucked?
What's the worst new Hindi film?
What's the most obscure thing to do on the weekend?
And what's the most interesting new walking tour?
If you want to know how to make the most of Bombay, listen to the Podcast by thedailypow.com. We are Pronuti.
Amit?
And Purva.
We're your guide to what to do, see, and eat in the city. You can find new episodes of the Podcast every Monday on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer, and on thedailypow.com.
And we're back. Alright, Josh. Wait, alphabetically was Naveen first?
No, as in
Yours is
Ticklish was the only one.
Yeah, sorry.
So, Sharanya's recommendation, Ticklish.
I got it.
Josh is out already.
Naveen.
Shit, man. Okay, so most of my recommendations, all 3 recommendations are Sharanya's only.
I just have numbers. I've been on many episodes. That's all.
That's true. But also watch good shit, like, But yeah, so I also heard S-Town, and again, like, it's not one of those things where you can tell what happened, so please listen to it if you are listening.
Josh, you have to listen to S-Town.
Please listen to S-Town.
Now I have to.
Yeah,
Yes,
please do.
we're building
Compulsory.
Yeah. And then I watched Chewing Gum. And that was like very, so I've always like grown up on like very Americanized, black ghettos, and to get like a different view of that, like a British look at like how they have their own projects and stuff, it was pretty interesting. And the story though, however, is so played out and so very
The
like
story is so weird and so slapstick.
so slapstick, but it's fun. You kind of root for the characters. It's so weird. Like, she has a gay friend who just like is so stupid. I'm like, there's no gay character like that ever in any of the gay fictional universes ever. But I'm like, I want to watch this guy. So I'm like, season 2 also came out, and I watched that as
season
well.
2 also.
And they bettered season 2. Actually, they made it like much better, much more and weirder, but then like just
It's really weird. But season 2 had more feelings at least. Season 1 was just weirdness. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. So it's fun. Like, it's just something you can like eat dinner to, like, you know. If like Amit, you're not into CSI and shit, then you can watch this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like, so it's and I also watched Not Fit. Call
Yes!
Out.
Right.
Web series.
Yes, it's a web series made by Indians much before like any other web series came and became cool. This show is genuinely funny, guys. It's like it's a mockumentary, and the guy who plays it is so unsure of himself.
funny.
So I think he's actually unsure of acting for the web series, which shows on the fact that he's such a
Right.
loser in real life. So
He's the writer and director. of
yeah,
it.
so that unsureness is so fun to watch, and it's got no proper end as such.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's the problem with Not Fit. It's very
Yeah.
funny, but there's no full plot line that comes across at the end. But such a funny.
So, but it's like it's a very Michael Scott kind of character, and you have all the others around him reacting to him. But in a very Azad Nagar, Warsaw,
Michael Scott from
yeah.
You have something
it's
to
Steve
say
Carell's
about
struggling
Warsaw.
days, basically.
Do you have
So, yeah.
something to say about Warsaw?
No, the shows has something to say about Warsaw.
Okay.
Yeah, Warsaw is filled with mosquitoes and rabid dogs.
You should watch
true.
Not Fit. Actually, I don't know. You could watch it. It's totally.
She watches them from her bedroom window.
Yeah, that's it's your neighborhood. It's literally behind your building.
This is probably true.
Cool. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my list.
So
I have to say something too. So when I was watching Glow, this was
Oh,
funny
you're bringing
only.
that back now.
yeah, because I forgot about it. And this is funny only because you mentioned it on the podcast. There was that one Russian receptionist of the hotel who says, I have women sometimes. And it was only funny because of the way you said it on the podcast. And when I was watching it, I would remember it again and again. And I would pause it and laugh. Yeah, please go back to episode 25 and hear Sharanya do a Russian accent
Really?
saying, I have
did
women.
that.
I'm pretty sure it was.
You
I
recommended
did.
it, but Sharanya
She
had
did,
also
oh.
seen it.
I
So
did a
Russian
Russian
accent.
accent.
yeah, you were like, I have women sometimes.
Sometimes.
And it was only funny because I remember your voice doing it again and again. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Alright, so I watched one thing intensely from the recommendation on episode 2 of IVM Likes when it was all new and stuff. And Amit had recommended a show called Person of Interest, which is
Right.
so outside my liking type of show. It's like ex-CIA guy, meets up with a billionaire to save lives that the machine gives them,
Yeah.
AI, etc. It's very Amit, obviously. And I was like, what else? This is not really my show, whatever. And then only when I signed up on Amazon Prime and I wanted to use Amazon Prime and I'd already watched all 7 seasons of Seinfeld and there was nothing else on it at that time because there were no American Gods and stuff. I was like, oh, they have all a Person of Interest. I'll watch like 2 episodes. And I'm so invested. I'm on season 4 right now and I watch at least 5 episodes a day. It just plays in the background all the time and now it's not even a background show anymore because season 1 and 2 kind of background-ish. Because every week they get a
villain
person
of the week kind of thing.
they get a person of interest
Of
and
the
then
week.
they follow it of the week, and then they go follow, and then they have to find out if they're the victim or the perpetrator or whatever. And then by season 2, there's some more story arcs like whatever cartels etc. By season 3, machine has taken on its own life and like it's like doing whatever it wants. By season 4, people are dying and all, like real characters are dying. I'm really invested in this show.
Thanks
And,
for watching it on our behalf. I don't think I'll ever watch it, but yes.
It's actually good though. It's one of the shows where if you have downtime of shows, and right now I'm watching like 5 current shows only.
Yeah.
So I have time.
Yeah, for sure.
On a
That's
weekly.
only-
Yeah,
On a
that's what like right now.
your Game of Thrones Insecure, I watch Younger every week. Whatever. It's not that many, so I have time. I'm not binge watching anything else.
Right.
So too many platforms, too many shows.
Too many platforms,
And like
my
too many.
God.
And the good thing is now they have the luxury of like just stopping where you finish watching it, so you can just go back to
I
it.
do it all, so if I go to Netflix, that's why I'm a little this about going to Netflix anymore, because it's literally like, look at all the unfinished projects I've started.
Yeah.
Here's Ozark.
It's like
5
those
episodes
books
left.
you would buy and then they're just sitting on the shelf.
It's the digital version of
With a
that.
bookmark as well.
But I feel that way on my Kindle also, because that also is like 50%, 70%, 60%. I'm like,
I think
I
all
got
of that will
finish
flash
it.
before you when you die. It's like
Probably.
all these
Yeah.
unfinished
Real memories
things.
will not, but they will.
Yeah, it's on my graves. Like so many books unread, so many TV shows never watched.
Shame.
Yeah, yeah. But so Person of Interest is genuinely good, you guys.
But did anybody watch Burn Notice?
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible.
It's a callback, guys.
I don't think I'll ever do that. Actually, maybe we should do like a screening.
So
Yeah.
like
all of us
when
watch Burn
podcast
Notice.
when
about
Burn Notice
us
actually
watching.
came like to Star Wars, I tried watching it, but it was like one more show in Miami. No.
That was pretty interesting, guys. Alright, before we wind up the show, it's not like we are just giving you those recommendations. We're not just rehashing our recommendations, guys.
Yeah.
Although, there will be a list on Monday. I'm assuming you have a long weekend. So, if whenever you get back to your consumption ways, there will be a list of all the shows and TV shows and podcasts and movies and other things that we've recommended so far on our Twitter handle on IVM Podcast. So if you want to look at that and then tell us stuff, please do. I mean, if it's just a reminder of the stuff that we've done so far. Because I'm forgetting. Sometimes I'm just like, have I recommended this before? That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's do one quick round of recommendations. Just something you're enjoying this week. We're not getting into discussions because we'll be here forever. And
we haven't had lunch yet.
Yeah, we haven't had lunch yet. Let's do just one quick thing that you're really enjoying in pop culture right now. Let's start with Naveen.
Cool. I'm watching a documentary called After Porn Ends. It's a documentary, as the title suggests, about people who used to be porn stars and now are living different lives. Some of them have gone back to religion. Some of them are running golf courses. Some of them are counseling people who were in porn. And it's a very humane take on what it is, right? Because people who are also studying porn for like years try to analyze how these people are perceived as we as people, and society-wise, do they have the luxury of going back to a normal life? And it obviously shows a mirror to us as a society where we like just use these people as masturbatory devices and never look back at them as humans. So I think it's a very and they have a part 2 as well, which I'm going to watch. But if you like to watch porn and if you like to understand that the person out there is not just a rag, then please watch this documentary. And
what's it called again?
After Porn Ends.
Okay. Josh.
I'm just going to recommend a music track.
Ooh, nice. Go for it.
Go for it.
So I've just been obsessed with a song called You and I by Toro y Moi.
Yeah, Toro y Moi.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
I've been listening.
What kind of music is it?
It's like 80s synth, pop,
nice.
ambient.
Yeah, chill step.
Chill wave.
It's full, I just have it on loop, so it's a damn good track. You
Nice.
check it out.
Sounds great. Please send it to me later.
Yeah.
You just recommend it. Google it.
Yeah, Google it. Apple Music.
I'll send you the
That's
sound
Alika's
card.
problem. Like, if she recommend something, she has to be given the thing.
Yeah,
also.
she gotta be
I'm like,
spoon-fed.
yeah, watch Netflix, but take my account details as well so you can
I have my own Netflix account. Just saying.
Alright, Alika, your turn. What's something you're enjoying right now?
Yeah, I'm just listening to. I'll also recommend a music album. I'm listening to a lot of Halsey recently, and her album Badlands is amazing. You should all check it out.
She's
It's
amazing
really
in general.
Yeah. Love. Great. Abbas, what are you enjoying right now?
I'm reading a fantasy book called The Keepers. The full title is The Keepers, The Box and the Dragonfly. It's a book by the author Ted Sanders. If you like Harry Potter and Chronicles of Narnia and that kind of stuff, do check it out. It's a really good book.
I just watched a documentary yesterday that I really enjoyed called Nobody Speak, which is what's wrong with the media today with the Hulk Hogan case as the base of it. Really interesting. If you've watched John Oliver's segment on the Las Vegas Review and how it got bought over by businessmen and what it means for journalism, it's a really, really interesting documentary. It's on Netflix called Nobody Speak. Alright, super fun, guys.
There's also a song called Nobody Speak.
I love that song, Run the Jewels and DJ Shadow.
Yeah.
Great song. Yeah. Alright, that was super interesting. Again, if you've seen any of the shows and movies and if you've read any of the books we've recommended so far, let us know. We're IVM Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Alright, thank you for being in this episode, guys. All of you.
Yes.
Do you want to do a harmonizing bye? Let's do a bye, okay? Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out IVM Podcasts to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.